Today, we're exploring an interesting game dev challenge, committing to one unit test every single day. Welcome to the Pocast. In this episode, I'll be sharing my journey of adding a daily unit test to my project and the impact it had on my workflow. This small habit has had some surprising impacts on both my workflow and my motivation. Let's look at how one unit test a day can impact your project. It's a simple practice, but it might just be worth the effort. Let's dive in. To begin with the basics. A few months back, I set myself a personal challenge to write at least one unit test each day for my game. I'm working solo on an indie roguelike RPG through my studio, Forge Games, and the codebase is extensive. By the way, if you're looking for 10 useful tips for developing an RPG, don't miss episode number 6. Make sure to give it a listen. I'll share a link to it here if you're on YouTube. You can also find it in this episode's description. Alright, moving back to today's main focus. In my RPG game, with over a year in development, there's a lot going on under the hood. Writing a unit test daily was an easy goal to stick to, so I could build a habit and slowly increase test coverage. Each test takes about 5 minutes to create, so it's not a significant time investment. But what's it actually been doing for the project? Well, right now I've got about 100 unit tests. Small but steady progress. Test coverage currently sits at approximately 10%. Not massive, but these tests are starting to pay off in the overall stability of the project. For those wondering, these unit tests have only caught a handful of bugs so far. About 3 specific issues and one big one after a major change. It's a low-stakes commitment, but it's definitely worthwhile. Gradually, it builds reliability into the project over time. Now let's break down testing into the main categories. Unit tests, integration tests, end tests. Let's focus on small, isolated pieces of code like individual functions or classes. To run and simple to maintain, providing instant feedback on specific game components. Integration tests, which check how various parts of the game interact. Tests ensure different systems play well together, like AI responding to player actions or health syncing with inventory items, to prevent tricky bugs later. Finally, end-to-end tests simulate the entire game experience. They examine systems like graphics, input, and sound working in harmony. These are more comprehensive but slower to run and harder to maintain. Tests are ideal for spotting issues that might slip past unit and integration tests. In Unity, end-to-end tests are run as play mode tests, simulating gameplay in multiple systems. They're powerful but can be time-intensive. On the other hand, editor mode tests are faster since they skip the game starter process. To maximize the benefits of editor mode testing, I structure my game logic into standalone classes. I avoid mono behaviors for this. This setup allows me to test core logic independently. It gives me almost instant feedback without needing to run the full game. Then, from Unity scripts that are mono behavior, I call these logic classes to make the game function. This way, the logic remains isolated in classes that don't depend on mono behavior. Instead, it's the mono behavior that depends on them. Editor mode test supports both unit and integration tests. Since these tests don't require the game to run, they're much quicker. They also focus on validating specific pieces of logic. This includes testing interactions between systems without needing the full game to be active. Unit tests give you quick feedback on isolated pieces of code. Integration tests ensure that different systems work together as expected. For example, the player inventory syncing with the quest system, all without the overhead of starting the entire game. Alright, now let's take a look at how this daily testing challenge has impacted my development process. Here's where things get interesting. Has this challenge helped my code? Definitely, but maybe even more so, it's helped me stay motivated. Every time I write a test, it feels like I'm making measurable progress, however small. That sense of progression is key when you're working solo and tackling a big game. It's also built a routine. By making testing a small daily habit, it keeps me engaged with the game daily, like setting a foundation before building up to bigger tasks. Writing just one test a day is unexpectedly turned into a powerful ritual. It sets the stage for productivity. This simple practice serves as a trigger. It helps me shift my mindset into a development-focused mode. Even though it might not seem like much on the surface, these small steps are incredibly impactful. They create a sense of accomplishment that builds momentum throughout my day. After completing a test, I find myself fully immersed in development. It's as if that one task has unlocked my creativity and energy for whatever challenges lie ahead. This daily routine is a fantastic way to kick off my work and ensure I'm making consistent progress. What's even more remarkable is the psychological boost it provides. The act of writing a test, no matter how small, reinforces my commitment to the project. It keeps me motivated, especially during those times when progress feels slow or stagnant. Each test acts as a small victory, reminding me that I'm moving forward, one step at a time. Is it worth it for all games? Now, you might be wondering if this challenge is worth it for every game. In my experience, I'd say no. For shorter games or smaller projects, this level of testing may not be needed. The rapid pace of development often takes priority over rigorous testing. In those cases, focusing on creativity and quick iterations makes more sense than writing extensive unit tests. However, for a long-term project like my roguelike RPG, this approach has proven invaluable. The complexity of such a game demands a certain level of stability. As new features are added and systems are integrated, testing is crucial. It's important to ensure everything functions smoothly without investing excessive time in coverage. This balance has allowed me to identify and address potential issues before they escalate, improving the overall quality of the game. This challenge isn't for everyone. It requires a commitment and consistency that may not fit every developer's workflow. If you're working on a big game with intricate systems, I encourage you to give it a try. Establishing a testing routine can lead to a more stable product and a smoother development process, making your project more enjoyable for you and your future players. So that is the 1 unit test a day challenge. It's a simple, effective way to stay connected with your game, build consistency, and boost motivation. Whether you're new to testing or just looking for a way to stay motivated, I hope this has inspired you. Thanks for tuning into this episode. Let us know in the comments what you think. Are you ready to take on the challenge? Don't forget to subscribe, it really helps us out a lot. Keep creating and stay awesome.